Hello, and welcome back to Unjaded. I've lost track of where we're at now on the daily drop episodes. I think that this is September 26th, which means that we have four more episodes to go of the daily drops. And then I think we will be back to our regular weekly schedule, but I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do about that. Maybe we'll up the cadence a little bit, but I don't think it will be daily because I have to confess that I am recording this when it's almost my bedtime. It's 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. I had to think about what day it was when I'm recording this for you because I want you to have this episode when you wake up on Thursday morning. So if you've been here with me a while, then you know that I've been talking about creating content according to your human design for a hot minute. And that is because I believe with everything in me that content is an inside job, just like everything else. However, it seems to be the thing in our business that we want to outsource the most. Somehow, we have started to think that it doesn't matter, that we can outsource it to a robot or we can outsource it to a VA or we can just throw something up there. You know how much I hate those words. And your content, it's your voice. It's the thing that you are putting out into the world. It's how people experience you in the online space, whether they're reading your content or watching a video or listening to a podcast. Your voice is everything. Your message is everything. If your message isn't coming from the soul of who you are, how can it possibly bring you the soul fit clients that you need to have? I did a reading today with someone who has joined the Content by Design course early, and we had her onboarding reading. And she's a manifester, and she has been working with a business coach specifically around getting her content out into the world. And this particular business coach, this is actually the second time I've heard this in 2 weeks. This particular business coach has a theory that you define your niche and then you find an influencer and then you copy what that influencer's doing. Oh my goodness. That is possibly the worst content strategy that you could have outside of just doing everything through AI. Why? Well, for a few reasons. One, copying is gross. I mean, yes, we look to what people are doing to get inspiration and things, but copying is gross. Two, you are never going to find a formula, a template, or a framework that someone else is using that you're going to plop your content into and it's going to be absolutely perfect and sound like it came from you. I said what I said. And three, influencer marketing is completely different than marketing for your personal brand. Completely different. The hairs on my chin stood up when I heard that. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And last week in a client session, I was working with a projector who just has one center defined, and her coach is a manifesting generator with 7 centers defined. And that coach was trying to have the projector create content the same way that that manifesting generator coach creates content. Now, if you're in the human design space or you're familiar with your human design at all, you know that that is not going to work. Dr. Phil would always say, that dog won't hunt. Like, it can't work. I know that I'm banging on about this, but I have a hard time understanding how those of us that are in the human design space, that are familiar with human design, that embrace it for every single area of our lives and preach it from the rooftops, cannot accept that the same would go for our content. So, of course, both of these women, light bulbs are going off and they're like, oh my God, like I knew it was wrong. I knew that that strategy was wrong for me, but I thought that the person was an expert in messaging, so I listened to them. And that's why we do it differently when we know our human design. Because leveraging your human design is the very best way to create content that lands with your soul fit clients and gets you hired without burning yourself out. It works for absolutely everything else, so why wouldn't it work for this? So in this client session today, what did we look at? I want to give you some tangible things so that you can kind of look at it in your own design. We looked a lot at profile. Actually, both of these people are 3-5 profiles. And we looked a lot at the thing that you don't want to say is probably the thing that you most need to say. And for third line profiles, it's a lot about taking people on the journey of your trial and error, showing people the things that you've gotten wrong, telling us about the lessons that you've learned the hard way, showing us those vulnerable places that you don't want to show because you've been shamed for them. And this is not about speaking from the wound. We always speak from the scar and not the wound in our content. But if you're a third line profile, people need to hear what you got wrong. And that can be really uncomfortable. So it's not only knowing and understanding that you need to say that thing, it's also doing the work underneath that. It's doing the work of how can I come to terms with speaking from the scar? How can I come to terms with that this is going to be something that's out there that's going to have a big impact on someone and I'm going to feel it in my body too because this is something that I have carried and kind of tried to hide away because I've always been told it's wrong with me. So, as much as we look at the pieces in your human design chart, we have to look at all of the underlying stuff that's there too. All of those ways that you've been conditioned to believe that you're wrong are going to come up for you when you go to speak your truth. They're going to come up for you when you go to draw in the people that you're here to draw in. In one of these sessions, we talked a lot about the gifts of the unconscious sun, because that unconscious sun is where you bring light to the darkness. And there's so much conditioning in that place for you. My unconscious sun is in gate 30. Fire, intensity. Of course, that's a place that I've been told that I'm the most wrong my whole life. So this content thing is a big picture. It's not just fill in this template, copy this influencer, outsource it to a robot, and it will bring people to your world. Just fill up the feed with something. That's not what creating content is about. Creating content is something that comes from the soul of who you are to attract the soul of who your ideal client is. And when you get on that level with your ideal clients, they can't help but hire you. If you're really ready to step into, you know what, I'm not making the money I need to, want to be making in my business, and I'm not having the impact that I need to and want to be making in my business, then I want you to join me later today. I'm hosting a masterclass. It's a 3-day series of masterclasses. I should have called them workshops because it's always a workshop when you're in the room with me. That's how my energy works. And we are going to be unpacking how to leverage your human design to create the content that moves people to hire you. We're going to talk about the types of content that you may be creating now that are not serving your ideal clients and they're not serving your business in any way. They are just feeding the algorithm. And we're going to do some exercises. We're going to do some forgiveness exercises around some of the things that you may have been doing that you now know are wrong. And I'm putting that in air quotes. We're going to do some exercises on actually creating content together. I'm going to be looking at charts. I'm going to be doing content audits, all of the things. So it's a 3-day event. It's completely free. And I would love for you to be in the room with me. I'm going to pop the link in the show notes for you to join me. And I'll be back here tomorrow with another daily drop for you.